Absolutely. And now people can see very, very clearly that what they were running was not a real hearing. It wasn't democracy. It wasn't what they've been talking about. It was a tribunal to get Trump, period. That is it. And now they need to destroy all those records because it would show that's exactly what they were doing. But Julie Kelly, she also put this out and said, Obama Judge Beryl Howell held Twitter in contempt and imposed six-figure fine for not turning over Trump's Twitter account to Biden's special counsel so Jack Smith could look at Trump's deleted tweets. A Biden judge upheld Howell on appeal. Joke country. And then we have Liz Harrington. She's also pointing to Julie Kelly. And she says, I mean, at what point do we call out the sick voyeurism of a DOJ and special counsel that raided the president's home for 9 hours, taking 13,000 items, watches 3-year worth of security video from inside his home, and reads his Twitter DMs? Liz Harrington responded to this on Truth and said, and they still have to invent made-up fake crimes, while the corrupt establishment breaks the law with impunity. She's absolutely right. And remember, Trump is not using DMs on Twitter. Trump has one account. So what did Trump just do? He brought them to a place where he can use this against them. They already set the precedent. They can't argue with this right now. Remember, Twitter was part of the intelligence agency, was part of the deep state. They had their real account, a lot of the corrupt politicians and all the others, and then they had their fake accounts, and they communicated using their DMs. And we can also get their deleted tweets. And that reminds me of post 1222. This is April 21st, 2018. Down below it says, think public and private Twitter accounts. They all have them. These people are stupid. We have it all. See, Trump, he has all this evidence. So think about it. If you know your enemy, you know the playbook, you have all this evidence, what do you need them to do? You need them to go after you for the things that you want. I want to see their Twitter DMs. I want to see their other Twitter accounts. I want to get their taxes. I want to indict them for January 6th. I want to indict them for the Espionage Act. I want to indict them for election fraud. I want to do all of this. So what do I need to do? I need them to do it to me first to set a precedent so nobody can argue. They already did it to me during an election, and now I can turn around at any time and do it to them. No questions asked. Yes, the fake news might ask questions, but the people will be where? On Trump's side. Remember, the court of public opinion. That's what this is being tried right now in the court of public opinion. And Trump, he's winning.
Now, this is the Trump indictment in D.C. by Jack Smith. And the judge is holding Twitter in contempt for withholding his deleted tweets. What they're doing is setting a precedent, because we would love to see the tweets and the DMs of Pelosi and Biden and everyone else that's a public servant in the government and see what they're up to. They went after Trump's taxes the same way, and he made him work for it. Took him all the way to the Supreme Court, which made a ruling for him to give up his taxes. And he did, and they didn't file any charges after that. Don't you think that they would have? But it set a precedent. And what did they do next? They went after Biden's taxes. That's the only way for we, the people, to hold these people accountable. Get rid of these slime bags. So Trump is taking the arrow and then giving us a bullet that we can use. He was president for 4 years. So as soon as he became president and was sworn in, he had access to every single secret document ever. It was up to him whether or not he wanted to release the Kennedy documents, remember? But they had to withhold some because they were just, the public was just not ready to see them. That means every document about Obama's, Bush's, Clinton's, he's seen and read. And he lets you know that. He'll say something like, that was a shame. He doesn't tell you specifically. But he knows something's up, and he tries to tell the American people. And if you listen. And here we have ex-CIA officer telling us about Trump's access to the NSA calls, how they were illegally spying on Americans. And they have all this data.
Right. And so Ed Snowden was literally a CIA operation intended to give Obama an opportunity to go to Congress and say, we need to close down these nasty. But that didn't work out the way they were planning. And in fact, Admiral Rogers, as head of the NSA, may end up being one of the greatest Americans in modern history because he went to Trump and told him exactly what was happening. And that was the beginning of the Trump revolution.
I see.
Cartoon. You guys could even throw it up. But in that cartoon, Bill Binney is growling about how, we're spying on all these Americans. Binney's a great American. And then in the second half of the cartoon below it, Trump is smiling at Binney and says, yeah, but we also got all the dirt on the plutocrats. Okay. And that's the heart of the matter. Binney and I have been saying for months that we've got it all, but NSA only processes 1% of it. Look, Snowden was a security guard with a high school education at NSA. He was then by CIA as a so-called technical expert in Geneva. Then he was sheep-dipped again into Booz Allen, which is the alternative CIA, where Mike McConnell, Keith Hall, and Joan Dempsey, among other infamous names, work. And then he was put into Hawaii, where somebody handed him, allegedly, 1.8 million documents. I think it was closer to 100,000. And then he was set up with Greenwald and these other guys in Hong Kong. And then he flees to Russia, and mysteriously the State Department, which is not completely stupid, cancels his passport, so he's forced to stay in Russia. This is a WrestleMania drama.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really is.
Now, bottom line here is the deal that I'm told that Snowden has with the president. Not only is he giving up all of the money that he earned, but he is going to testify against Obama and Brennan and whoever at Booz Allen was his handler. Now, Assange has a similar deal on the table where Assange will testify that Seth Rich handed a flash drive to Admiral Craig Murray, who handed it to Assange, no Russians involved. Now, I want to bring up one third name, John
Marine Corps infantry officer, CIA spy, and second-ranking civilian in Marine Corps intelligence, responsible for creating the Marine Corps intelligence activity. Robert is the CEO of Earth Intelligence Network and is the chief counsel for the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Human Trafficking and Child Sex Abuse, which is some amazing credentials there, Robert. We've seen some of your work.
There's no better way of understanding the beast than serving in the belly of the beast. I left CIA when the Marine Corps invited me to come create the Marine Corps Intelligence Center. At the same time, I pissed off the clandestine service by refusing a job on covert action staff, which is, I signed up to steal the truth from my country, not to tell lies for my country or assassinate people or torture people or do all the other silly shit that covert action staff does. I've reviewed several books recently. I'm starting to realize that CIA has been conducting illegal activities within the United States of America since at least the 1960s, if not before, to include creating a completely degenerate music industry with mind control and sex and drugs and rock and roll and the whole bit. What really changed my life was being the second ranking civilian in Marine Corps intelligence and being responsible for providing decision support to the Commandant of the Marine Corps and all of our Marine Corps generals and every combatant commander, is I found out spies don't know. They basically are obsessed on a few things like the Soviet Union and China and Korea and laughably Cuba, and they don't know anything about Burundi or Haiti or Somalia. So I created the open source intelligence discipline and scared the living out of CIA. They were very, very frightened by the idea that an open source agency might put them out of business. So we've had a fight for the last 40 years. And if President Trump wins re-election and if Mike Flynn comes back into government, then I'm hoping there will be an open source agency. And the beauty of open source intelligence is you can share it with the public. You can share it with Congress, the press, and foreign allies, which means you can make evidence-based decisions in the public interest and no secrets. I testified to the Secrecy Commission run by Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, and the point that I made is that secrecy in Washington is not about protecting secrets. It's about protecting the right to lie to Congress.
Let's go back to post 1859, August 12, 2018. This Twitter account was referenced for a very specific reason. Holds many questions, messages from people of power influence. These accounts are run by big names, and it's pointing to account, and the account name is Satan. And it says, I miss you, son, real Donald Trump. So these accounts that were on Twitter, they were run by big names. You think we're going to find out who the big names are? Absolutely. In the end, we're going to find out everything.